From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast that is designed to help you increase your influence, develop your leadership, and maximize your results. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you on this episode on success. And this topic is something we develop a lot of, or dedicate a lot of thought to, how to be successful at something that we're trying to do, right? Of course we want to be successful. So we do dedicate a lot of time and energy to how to be successful. And I was thinking, I have my best thinking time sometimes is in the car. And I was driving the other day and I was thinking about, what is it about success? Like, how can we learn the principles of success so that we can apply them, whether it's in our professional life, to our job, our career, our business, or whether it's personally, maybe success looks different in that personal dimension. Maybe success for you personally means being well balanced in your health. Maybe it means being able to cook the meals for your family that you want to, or maybe it means just success in that realm might be being successful as a parent. So what are the principles of success? And I wanted to share a few thoughts with you on that. I think the biggest one, and perhaps the most frustrating, but also paradoxically the most interesting, is that number one thing about success is that it doesn't show up overnight. Right? Success is usually something that's the result of weeks, months, sometimes years of hard work, right? It does not just, you can't go to the gym today and be suddenly fit and 10 pounds lighter tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. So it also doesn't work if we want to transform our life, start a business and be successful. You've probably heard the term, and it's kind of a cliche, that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Well, that's sort of true. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, and a lot of times when people see you being successful, they forget that success doesn't happen overnight. They forget that sometimes it's been months and years of hard work to get to where you're going. Mac and I talk about that a lot because these days, we are much busier with our speaking. We were in, I think, 40 states last year and traveling all over the United States and speaking. And then this year we're even, in just a couple weeks, we're even going to Canada. So branching out. And, it's easy for people to see us being busy now and not realize that we have worked years, literally years, and 7 days a week, sometimes all day, building our network and building our business. And the thing is, a lot of times we get frustrated when success doesn't happen immediately. But when we can question what we can be doing now and focusing on that instead of worrying about what we can't do, then we can leverage that. So for example, in the early years when Mac and I started speaking and writing, we weren't speaking regularly. We weren't speaking every day. We weren't even speaking every week, and sometimes even every month when we first started. But instead of worrying about that, we spent a lot of time investing in our growth and our development, and we wrote a lot of books because we had the time and we had the capacity. And now I'm so grateful that we did, because I think in 2016 I wrote 5 books. It was just a year of writing. Some of that were material that I had taught and spoken on and given presentations and programs on several times. So I had the material. I really just had to sit down and put it in a book. So it wasn't quite as exhaustive as it sounds when you say wrote 5 books in a year. But still, I published 5 books that year. And I'm so grateful now, because these days it's much more difficult. I've been working on the next book that I want to write, and we've just been so incredibly blessed and busy that it's going to take much longer. There's no way I could do that. Well, no way with our current travel schedule, I should say. Of course, it's always what we choose to do, but considering our current travel schedule over the next several weeks and months, it's probably going to be summer before I get this book able to be well-rounded and, actually put the thought into it and take time to do it right, because that's important to me. So, but my point is, so much of the time when we are not immediately successful, we get frustrated with that, and so we might quit, or we might pull off the gas a little bit and do something else and say, well, gosh, if I can't be doing what I want, let me go do something fun. And there's nothing wrong with that, but remember that that's not going to help us increase our results, maximize our results in life. We all choose what to do with our time, but any time and energy that we are not spending focused on activities and tasks and priorities that help us move forward toward the overall goal is time that we're just not using effectively. Now, I've said this before. I'm not talking about ever, taking a break or taking a vacation day. But what I'm saying is that if you take too much of that, or too much time, more than you need perhaps, just because you're frustrated, or just because you're not doing what you want to do, then you're not serving yourself. You're not going to actively move forward if you're spending too much time binging on Netflix. And that's okay. But binging on Netflix is not time that's going to take you forward towards your goals in life. Unless your goal is to become a Netflix expert. So, that's my point here, is that success doesn't show up overnight. And yet, if we will stay consistent and stay focused, even when success doesn't show up for months and sometimes years, we will eventually get there. And I know that that's tough sometimes. I know, believe me, Mac and I have experienced that firsthand, where, you have a dream and a vision, and you start working toward it and nothing happens, and you start working toward it and nothing happens. But if you keep going long enough, you will get there. But the thing is, most people quit. Most people give up. I talk to a lot of people who want to write a book or want to be speaking, and they just won't put the time and effort into it to harvest what they plant. You've probably heard of what's called the law of the harvest, right? And Mac and I refer to that sometimes. I say every day we get up and we plant seeds, and it takes time for those seeds to nurture and grow. And then eventually you'll reap the harvest. But most of us get so frustrated with our seeds not immediately sprouting that we just move on and we don't water them, or we don't plant new seeds. Because not every seed is going to sprout, right? Not every seed is going to become something. So that's why we got to plant a lot of them. That's why we got to plant seeds every single day. I know I'm seeing seeds sprout that I planted years ago. Maybe a relationship that started several years ago actually turned into a speaking opportunity several years down the line. And so it takes time, but if we are consistent and continue, we will get there. So success, number one, success doesn't happen overnight. Success shows up years later most of the time. And I think the second principle about success that I like to talk about is that and I think the best way to say it is a quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, "Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become." And I had to think about that when I read that, because most of us forget that Success is based on our personal growth, our personal development. Success in that area isn't going to exceed our level of growth in that area. So for example, if your goal is let's see, to start a business, whatever it is, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to leave your job, 9-to-5 job, and start a business. Your level of success in that area is not going to exceed your growth in that area. You've got to become the expert in that business, in that field. And if you don't grow in that and continue to grow, it's going to be almost impossible to be successful as an entrepreneur in that area. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Because here's the thing, I think success isn't so much about just what we do as who we are. I've talked about before, most of our success in life is based on our character. Our attitude, our integrity, our perseverance, all of those characteristics that make us who we are. That's what most of our success is based on in life. Success isn't based on whether you have a college degree or a certificate in that area. That might be an important tool, but let me tell you, if you need a competency to be successful in that field or that area, it's going to take character for you to go get it, right? I have 3 college degrees, and I will tell you that, sure, that gave me some competency and I learned some skills. Those are competencies, our skills and tasks and abilities. But it took character to show up and go to class all the time and balance going to class and going to college with working a full-time job and a part-time job and being a parent, step-parent, and attending football games and baking brownies for PTA and trying to balance all of that. That took character, because that took saying no to some fun things so that I could say yes to some of my priorities. That took a lot of perseverance. It took a lot of character to say no and stay home when everybody else was out having dinner, and I would stay home and write papers, because that took character. So it takes character to get competency. But, our level of success isn't going to exceed our level of growth. Hal Elrod says, Hal Elrod says, our outer world will always be a reflection of our inner world. And our level of success is always going to parallel our level of personal development. Until we dedicate time each day to developing ourselves into the person we need to be to create the life we want, success is always going to be a struggle to attain. And that's a mouthful. It's a long quote, but that last part is probably the most important. Until we dedicate time each day to developing ourselves into the person we need to be to create the life we want, success is always going to be a struggle. Dedicating time every day to developing ourselves into the person we need to be to create the life we want. Many people look at what Mac and I do today, and it looks like we're living the dream, and we are. Traveling and speaking and getting to see exciting places and meeting neat new people, and it's what we want to do. We've created a life around helping other people. And absolutely, for us, it is, living the dream. But we had to dedicate time, and we still do dedicate time every single day into becoming the person that we need to be to continue to be able to pour into people and create this life that we have created. I think a lot of times we forget that. If our level of success isn't going to exceed our level of growth, here's the interesting thing. We can't stop. We cannot stop growing if we want to continue to be successful, right? I cannot stop reading and learning, because I wouldn't be effectively able to help other people learn and grow if I'm not constantly learning and growing myself, because then I would just be repeating the same thing over and over, and there's no growth in there. There's just stagnation, and I'm not able to help other people grow if I'm not growing. So for me, I have to dedicate time every single day into continuing to be that person, that resource that can add value to other people. And so it's why I read every single day. It's why I read 50 nonfiction books a year, because it's important to me to make sure that I'm committed to my growth and being able to help others. And I know it's tough. I know that's challenging. I well remember those days when, for me, I would get up and go. First thing, I would go to the gym. I was there at the gym by 4:30 in the morning. I would prepare to teach my group fitness class. I would teach one class at 5 o'clock or 5:15 in the morning. Then I would rush home and shower and then rush off to work to be at work by 7:30. And I'd stay there at work all day, a lot of times eating lunch at my desk. And then I would leave my job at the hospital, and then I'd go back to the gym and teach a second class. And some nights I didn't get home until 7 o'clock at night. And you're tired when you do all that, right? You don't feel like reading a book that's going to help you grow and having to challenge yourself and think about it. But, during that season of my life, I was working 2 jobs and going to school. I was trying to get my MBA, and there's not a whole lot of time left over in the day when you're trying to do that. And I know it's hard when you're tired and you don't really feel like it. But here's the thing, if we wait until we feel like doing the things that we need to do to be successful in life, we'll never get them done, because it feels good like maybe the first time. If you need to, for example, let's say read a book on leadership and personal growth. If you know that would help you increase your leadership skills, you should read it. You might feel like it the first time you actually sit down to read the book, but you might not feel like it the second time and the third time and from every time forward, because you might have to do it after work when you're tired, or first thing in the morning. You might have to get up earlier to do that, to invest time in your growth. But if we wait until we just always feel like it, we might never get it done, because we might not ever feel like it. I will tell you, there are a lot of days I didn't feel like sitting down to write a paper or an essay or study for an upcoming test. But I had to do it anyway, because that's what successful people do, is they don't wait around until they feel good before they act. They take action and they'll feel good later. Another way to say that is some people want to feel good now and then reap the rewards. But if you invest the time, you'll reap the reward and you'll feel good later. And that's a key difference, I think, and probably my last point here on success is it's not, becoming successful and whatever it is we want to do, it's not always going to be fun. It's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. It's hard work. A lot of times people see the glamorous result. It's like when you finally get your business up and growing, a lot of people see that, you get the Small Business Award of the Year from the Chamber of Commerce, and that looks fun, it looks exciting, but people forget how many hours you spent up till midnight trying to make your products and market them and develop your network and build your business and design your email campaigns and all of the things that go into whatever it is you want to do. It is going to take hard work. It's going to take doing more. It's going to take doing extra and going above and beyond. And that's not easy to do. It's not comfortable to do. It's certainly not always fun to do. But when you're passionate about it, it's not really work in the same way. Sure, you're going to have to do it when it's not fun or when you're not tired. But if you're passionate about it and you know why you are doing it and why you are investing time in that, it's going to make it much easier to do when you don't feel like it. Because trust me, if you are going to be successful in any area of life, it's not always going to be fun. I like to think of athletes, think of the Olympic athletes and how many thousands and thousands and thousands of hours we know they get out and they go to practice, hours and hours a day. They invest time and sometimes multiple workouts over the course of the day. And you know that there are days when they get up and they're sore and they're tired and they're achy from yesterday's practice. And they get up and they do it anyway. And they get up and they do it again and again. And that can eventually help them be successful. But it's not always easy. It's not always going to feel good. It's not always going to be fun. But success shows up on the other end. And a successful person realizes that they've got to put the work in first before they can reap the benefits. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.